sure is.
You know what I'm saying? I shouldn't even give him no light. I'm gonna cut his light out. You should.
Yeah, I'm shooting.
How you doing, family? If you have a seat next to you that's vacant, would you please raise your hand? Okay, students in the back, can you see the raised hands? You can walk towards the raised hands and have a seat. If you have a vacant seat next to you, would you please raise your hand, please? Give us a few more minutes, family. We just about there. Is Lamont Geddes here?
say, brother?
Let us pray. Gracious Father, you who exist always in the present tense, we first give you the honor and the praise for allowing us to be here in this chapel at this time on this day. We thank you, Father, for all the blessings with which you have blessed us, our persons and our community. We thank you for the successes of the Black struggle in America and the world thus far. We thank you for our leaders, past, present, and future. We thank you for the strong hope of our mothers and fathers and our grandfathers and grandmothers that strengthens us even today and keeps us going. We thank you for the church, always a safe place of faith and truth and action. This day, Father, we meet again in the church, and we ask your blessings first and foremost upon our speaker. We ask that all that is said, all that is done, and all that is heard be for your glory and your honor. Let your power and wisdom reside in our assembly tonight, that we may be encouraged and instructed and empowered. In your heavenly name, amen. Amen. Now please continue standing. Before we sit down, I'd like us all to sing the first two stanzas of Lift Every Voice and Sing, our national anthem. I guess I'll start it off. Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring with the
How you doing, family? Everybody's all right? Well, we're here in a good call and a good name. But before we go right down to the subject at hand and to the strong soldier that we all came here to see, I want to bring up a mighty soldier and an administrator, if I can say that in 2 words, here at the podium. I'm going to bring up the dean. We all know this dean. This is the Dean of Residence Life.
All right.
Please give Dean a round of applause. Dean.
I'm really honored to have been asked by President Hutto to come and give a very, very brief remarks. I was a student at Howard in the early to mid-'60s, and I was a very busy recall there being a speaker that came to campus, and just to eliminate that suspense, not the speaker tonight, he was over here. And I was too busy to go. And I heard this particular speaker's name, and I thought he was a little crazy, so I figured, I'm too busy, and I get a chance another time to see him. Well, I'm really pleased that those of you tonight were not too busy with other things that I'm sure are important to you to do tonight, to come to see another great man. The man that I missed seeing on campus that night was Malcolm X. And I never got a chance to meet him. So I congratulate you for your wisdom. I brought to Brother Kwame tonight, I've already given it to him. I'm a pack rat of sorts and don't throw anything away. And I brought a 20-year-old poster for African Liberation Day. From 1978, Malcolm X Park. And I wanted to present this copy to President Hutto.
Here? I said, yes, we brought him here. He said, are you sure? I said, of course, we brought him to campus. Yeah, I'm with you. He said, I'll never make that mistake again. And I'm glad to see that you're not ever making that mistake again.
Several of our compatriots from back in the day are here tonight, and it's been quite a reunion. I just want to say to all of current students and others that are here tonight that no matter what role you decide to take, always remember that the struggle of our people is paramount and most important. Thank you.
There's two deans everybody loves here at Howard. One of them is Dean King, and the other one is Dean Arthur. He's in the back. And of course, the dean of this holy place, the dean of this house, the dean that we all gathered here, the wonderful Dean Richardson. I want to introduce the great student leaders here at Howard University, just a sampling of what we have here today. I'm going to start on the stage. And if I missed anyone, I know I have. I see quite a few of us, or quite a few of y'all in the audience right now. We'll get to everybody a little later. I want to introduce, for a brief introduction, Mr. Neville Welch.
Thank you very much, brother. Good evening.
Good evening.
We first give thanks to the unmoved mover for facilitating and spearheading Brother Kwame's journey back to the MECCA. Brother Kwame, a very special welcome is extended to you on behalf of the International Student Association. Our best regard is extended to the Dean of the Chapel, Dean Richardson, for allowing this place to be the home of another historical event. In that glass over there, we see the face of Dean Crawford, Dean Hill, and Dr. Howard Thurman. My brother, Kwame, you've earned your place among the immortals, in our hearts, and among the men and women who have taught us that man cannot live by bread alone. Frantz Fanon said, every generation, out of obscurity, must find its destiny and either fulfill or betray. Brother Kwame, your physical presence here tonight is a constant reminder that we have come a very, very long way. But we have a far, 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 far way to go. You remind us that we were not sent here at this institution to get a Mercedes-Benz, to get a BMW, to get a fancy house, to get Versace. The unmoved mover is not interested in what degree we got while we were here or what our GPA was and all the other stuff that we were told are important. Who am I? What style did I make of the life that was granted to me? In essence, what is my lifestyle? Our Thurman would have said we should live our life in such a way that when God looked at us, he would never repent he made us. Brother Kwame, your presence here reminds us that we have to carry our cross, not the ones that we wear around our neck. We must walk the road of suffering and self-denial, the Jericho road. There we will hear the testimonies and see the horror of white power. On that road, there are men who are being impaled by toilet plungers, people denying that they were and they are the beneficiaries of affirmative action, liquidation and greed as the going principles, prisons substituting schools. Oh brother, you remind us that they came before Columbus. You remind us of how Europe undeveloped Africa. My brothers and sisters, we give thanks to the unmoved mover again for bringing our brother back home to the MECCA. We are thankful for all that you've contributed toward our mental liberation and black upliftment and emancipation. My brothers and sisters, please join me in welcoming Brother Kwame back home. Welcome home.
Thanks a lot. It's going to be a very spirited meeting tonight. I want to introduce one organization. Everybody knows this organization. Everybody loves this organization. Everybody has benefited in some way, somehow, from this organization here on the Harvey versus campus. I want to introduce two representatives. I know there's many. I see a lot in the audience. I want to introduce some representatives from the campus pals, ladies and gentlemen. Can you give a round of applause? Mr. Hall and Leah Johnson. Please welcome to the stage.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Robert Hall. We are both campus pals, this is true.
There are a lot of campus pals. King, campus pal,
what I like to say is that Campus Pals is an organization that is a microcosm of Howard University in general. Every school on the campus is represented. All walks of life, from East Coast to West Coast, is represented by Campus Pals. As Howard University is a microcosm of people of African descent worldwide. And very simply, I would like to say on behalf of Campus Pals, Howard University students, that we appreciate the path that has been paved by brothers like Kwame Ture for us. And we understand the responsibility that we now have to carry on the torch that they lit.
We also welcome the leadership of all freshmen. Campus Pals, you know, we're an organization that starts with helping the freshmen. So all the freshmen who are here tonight, we welcome you all to leadership and applaud you for being here tonight because a lot of people are not. And we're going to leave it at that and want to say welcome Brother Kwame Ture on behalf of the Campus Pals.
Thank you.
Representing the undergraduate student assembly, all the undergraduate students here at Howard University, the lovely Zandra Jones. Thank you very much.
Good evening. On behalf of the Undergraduate Student Assembly, I'm indeed honored to stand before you this evening on such a special occasion. I have the distinct pleasure of bringing greetings and welcomes, and in doing so, I'm not only welcoming home a brother who has gone before us, but I am welcoming all of you here to very special groups, to very special parties. First, in welcoming Mr. Kwame Ture, I didn't really know what to say, y'all. I was like, I mean, what do you say to welcome a man who is actually a part of history himself? I could say that he's been a part of the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee and the Black Panthers and the Pan-African Movement. I could say that whether it's Stokley Carmichel or Kwame Ture, and even in sickness, he has always made his presence known and his voice heard as it pertains to unity and freedom and fighting injustice for all people. But I feel more compelled to say thank you. As a senior marketing major from Birmingham, Alabama, I am here not by my work alone, but by the work of those who have come before me. By those such as Kwame Ture and Rap Brown and Angela Davis and Malcolm X and Martin Luther King, all those who came and fought for me, I'm here. And so I have to say thank you. Thank you, Mr. Ture, for having been an inspiration and an example for all those who seek justice, for all people, for those who seek truth, for those who seek to find the universal one love, and who see that the whole can do so much more than the individual parts. And it is with this in mind that I welcome you, the second group of special people, the Howard University community. It is my desire that we will leave here this evening with a renewed fervor and a renewed spirit to fight for what we believe in. It is my desire that if we leave here with only one thing learned from our wise teacher, that it is anything worth having is worth fighting for. And it is because of these people that we no longer have to fight only with our fists, but we can fight with our minds, with our pocketbooks, with our dollars, in the boardrooms, in the classrooms, in the back rooms. Ladies and gentlemen, I encourage you to take all that is being given to you tonight. You can do what I do. I listen to what's being said. I use what I can use and discard what I can't. Take it all in. Make no mistake. As Dean King said, you are not here by accident. Take advantage of it for all it is worth. Thank you for supporting this Student Association program, and God bless.
I want to bring on the Vice President of the Howard University Student Association, the Vice President that you always see, the Vice President that you know, my friend and your friend, please receive her, the Vice President of the Howard University Student Association.
Good evening, everybody. I really asked not to be brought up today. See how much pull I have around here. I just wanted to welcome you all and and thank you for coming out to support yet another Nation Time program. When we ran our campaign last year, we ran on Nation Time, and everybody asked us what Nation Time meant. And Nation Time is about bringing a community of people together, not only the Howard community, but the DC community and the Black community as a whole. And as you can see tonight, this is exactly what we've done. So I'll be sure. So I'll be short in my remarks, and I just want to thank Brother Kwame for coming and joining us tonight. It is indeed a pleasure and an honor and a privilege for all of us to be here tonight. And I hope you enjoy it. And I'm sure by the end of tonight, you'll all be screaming that it is Nation Time for all time. Thank you.
Is Mrs. Karen Spellman in the audience? Karen Spellman, would you please join us on stage, please? This brother, everybody see him on the yard with an afro. Did I give it away? Here's the president, ladies and gentlemen, of the Howard University Student Association, Mr. Jonathan Wesley Hutto.
First and foremost, I must give all honor and praise to God for being good enough to allow us to be present at this place at this time. Good evening. On behalf of the student body here at Howard, we would like to thank all the students and administrators who helped to make this program a success. I must stress Dr. Steve Favors, Vice President of Student Affairs, if he is here, Dean Archer, Dean King. I must also stress Attorney Donald Temple, if he's in the house, raise your hand. Also, the All African People's Revolutionary Party. Especially Dr. John Trumbull, Kamau Benjamin, Brother Bimboshi Shango, and Masani Bidiako, who helped facilitate Kwame's presence here tonight and help us to contact many of you who are here. We would also like to acknowledge, once again, the Howard University administration and staff, the student leadership whom you have heard from tonight, the community leadership which is present, who join us tonight as we celebrate our theme, 2 generations of African students on the front line of the African Revolution. I've been assigned the task and have the honor to introduce Brother Kwame Ture, whom most of you already know for more years than I've been born. So I will not waste your time and Kwame's time telling you what you already know. You all know that Kwame is a product of, a student of, an alumni of one of the best that Howard University has produced. We do not suggest here that the development of this great man is limited to or solely subscribed to Howard. Kwame is an institution at Howard University and on college and university campuses throughout the United States, Africa, and the world. He is an example and inspiration to at least 2 generations of African students worldwide who are continuously on the front lines and serve as the vanguard of the African struggle and worldwide revolution. His contributions are many, including his work as an organizer with the Nonviolent Action Group, the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, the Mississippi Freedom Democratic Party, that's right, after that. One of the chairmen here was the chairman of our Advisory Neighborhood Commission. I'm looking for Brother Lawrence Gill. Please say Lawrence Gill. The Lowndes County Freedom Organization, which was the first Black Panther Party.
All right.
The movement to take Kwame Nkrumah back to Ghana.
All right.
And the RBA, which is the Democratic Party of Guinea.
Yeah.
There you go.
He has been a teacher and mentor who has met and taught face-to-face to a minimum of 250,000 students, at least 2 generations of African and progressive students and youth over the last 30 years. He is also known as a writer whose works include Black Power, The Politics of Liberation, and Kwame Speaks, From Black Power to Pan-Africanism. He is currently completing his autobiography. His struggles include the right to vote, the right to self-defense, and the necessity to organize an independent all-African political party. We, the leadership of the Howard student body, are honored to take our place among a host of student leadership and administrations over the past 30 years to welcome Kwame home. We know that to some people home is heaven, and that to others Africa Guinea is his home. But Howard University is and will always be Kwame's home, away from home. We are honored to make this presentation as a token of our respect, thanks, and love for Brother Kwame Ture, and you see him having a little cross at the podium. So I want to make this presentation. I want to give Brother Kwame a big Howard shirt. Thank you so much. Please bring him on with a big round of applause, Brother Kwame Ture.
Thank you from the bottom of our hearts. We know that through our life experience, that when you work for the people will never forsake you. So we are never worried about our conditions. We know that no matter what conditions we find ourselves in, our people will take care of us. So we want to thank you for all the love you've demonstrated. We're honored to be here tonight. We want to thank all the student organizations, all of the deans, all of the different peoples involved in putting this together. Of course, as a student at Howard, I know what it takes, and I know the hard and serious work that's involved in it. So we want to thank you as one who knows the work that you have done. We want to thank so many, many brothers and sisters who we've seen in the audience that we haven't seen in years. And we're glad to see a very good cross-section of generations here tonight. We are very honored to be at Rankin's Chapel, and Dean Richardson is only continuing a tradition that has to be continued. At my time, it was Dean Crawford. And one of the things about Rankin's Chapel is that it was always open for meetings of this kind when other areas of the university was closed. So this tradition, of course, is a tradition which continues. It has to do with the very tradition of our people. Our people who have never seen religion as the opium of the masses. That, of course, coming directly out of the European culture. It being a fact that Europe has never produced any universal religion, all of them has entered from the outside. And as Mika Laflack, the founder of the Ba'ath Party, properly points out, religion is alien to the character and history of Europe, end of quote. Therefore, this struggle of Africans ensuring that religion and revolution go hand in hand is one that we must thank our culture for. It has asserted itself against great onslaught in the world. And we hold high that if one is truly religious, one must be revolutionary. Harlem on a Sunday morning, crossing over drug addicts to go to church. And I was outside talking to drug addicts. And they told me that I should come to church. And I told them that Jesus Christ, peace be upon his name, and missed the Sabbath day for a drug animal in a well. I think this church for a human being. So we are glad of this tradition. We want to make some remarks to you tonight along the topic which you have chosen, which is an excellent topic. But we want to do it in the African tradition. Malcolm X carried on the tradition, though we don't have the same format, by calling them fireside chats. Every once in a while you need a fireside chat. You know, sometimes some people do not understand the real essence of our struggle. The real essence of our struggle is eternal. That is to say, there's no time when you will struggle for the people and then after a while you sit back and relax and enjoy life. This is reactionary thinking of the worst order. Simply because the more you struggle, the more you know. And the more you know, the more you're able to do. And your people are going to need you to do until you die. Therefore, if you understand this, you prepare yourself for eternal struggle. We want to have a fireside chat, just open up some assumptions so we all understand what we're talking about. Some people may think that we're talking about you be a SNCC member, you wage a struggle in SNCC for a couple of years, and then after that you become a congressman and do nothing for the people. Kwame Ture, a great son of Africa, says that it is most irresponsible to undertake a task voluntarily, which we say is indispensable to the people's happiness, and before completing the task, to stop. This will compromise, he continues, the behavior of generations to come. This is the first contradiction we want to point out to you between you and your older generation of Africans who are on the front line. They thought that they were just to be on the front lines for a little while and then integrate into American society and enjoy life for the rest, and enjoy the time for the rest of their life. This is a disservice and a betrayal of principle to the people. You must reject this path instinctively. I mean, you must instinctively reject it. The mistake to a path is the path of truth. A prerequisite for truth is consistency. We're not saying that everyone who's consistent is correct. No, you can be consistently incorrect. And we've seen that many times from many officials in the American government. All the time. I mean, for example, they have been consistently incorrect on Cuba for 30 years, and they persistently. So you can be consistent, but this is incorrect. But before we pay attention to you, you must be consistent. Once you're inconsistent, there's no need to pay attention to you. If today you're in this camp, the next day you're in this camp, the next day in another camp, next time another camp, if your behavior is inconsistent, we know it cannot be correct. So just in order for us to look at you, if you are representing truth to us, you must be consistent, whether correctly or incorrectly. Therefore, those who have taken this path have been inconsistent. Therefore, they've taken the path of lies. Lies can never free our people. Only the truth will free our people. Only the truth. Therefore, this is one contradiction to look at. We do not come to praise. Your job as a younger generation coming is to assess properly what went on before you, to see what contributions you can make to advance the struggle, and what errors you must correct from the ones taken. This task must be properly understood, especially the task of correcting errors. The Chinese say, once you make a mistake, and you know it's a mistake. If you don't correct the mistake, you've made your second mistake. We are revolutionaries here, and mistakes are fatal. Therefore, we must correct them. We urge each of you to come and to look carefully at the errors they made. You must come to correct them. You must come to correct the errors, and you must come to improve upon the strategy to go forward. Now, we've already said from the very beginning that the struggle is eternal. Once you decide to struggle for your people, you better figure out, look at those Panthers who came out, said they wanted to fight for the people, and now they're doing all sorts of nonsense, everything other than fighting for the people. They've compromised generations of strugglers. These generations come to say, well, if they started to struggle, then maybe we should stop too. And then you know what they say? Drugs destroyed the Panthers. Drugs, the police destroyed the Panthers. I even heard an ex-Panther, because he ain't nothing but a pussycat now. I even heard an ex-Panther say, Huey Newton was killed by drugs. Huey Newton was killed by the police. Who brings drugs in the community? Who knows all the drug dealers in the community? Who manipulates all the drug dealers in the community? Who sends the drug dealers and informers into organizations? Who kills Huey Newton? You must be careful in your analysis. Any analysis you make of oppressed people in every area of your life where you leave out the enemy will never give you a correct analysis. You will end up blaming the people. Every analysis you make, you must make of this enemy. This is what your generation before you did not do. Matter of fact, they were trying to make believe they had no enemies. And as soon as everything was over, they could sit down peacefully and work out things with those who were not really our enemies. An oppressed people must have an enemy. There's no such thing as an inferior people. We know that. There are things as oppressed people. And they're not oppressed by superior people. They are oppressed by people who are better organized than they are. The reason why the Ku Klux Klan terrorizes us is because they are organized. They have meetings every week. And the members go to the meetings every week. They discuss racist ideology. They ingrain it. They internalize it. And then they have programs for it. They even make uniforms and things like that. How many of us can say we go to meetings every week for the people? How many of us can say we make uniforms for the people's organizations? Africa is the richest continent on the face of the earth. Wherever you find the people on the continent or off the continent, they are the poorest people on the face of the earth. Some get confused as there's others in the generation who went before you. You must not. That great son of Africa, Kwame Ture, said it correctly. Seek ye first the political kingdom. We must be politically organized, not economically organized. We have no economic problem. We are just politically not organized. This is our only problem. Now, those who confuse you tell you must build up economic strength. How could you build up economic strength and you think you're going to let an enemy let you have economic strength when you don't even have military strength to defend the economically that you say you're growing? You can only grow economically when you are secure, politically and militarily. They don't want revolution, they want a piece of the American pie. We don't want a piece of the American pie. We cannot want it. The American pie is based on genocide and slavery. We want to destroy it. We say all the time, we're not poor. Listen, when every African in America gives 5 cents a week, and I'm sure every one of us can do that, to a common economic bank account in this country alone, what economic problem will we have in 3 months? None. We are not politically organized. This is our problem, and this is the emphasis your generation must make. The generation must come clear. Just look at the generation that came before you. Sometimes I'm amazed when young students come to me and say, "Oh, Brother Kwame, I sure wish we were back in the 60s. Back in the 60s. I don't want to go backwards, I don't want to go forward. Ain't going back. Oh, in the 60s things were so great, politically goals were so organized. We were not organized in the 60s. We were mobilized. One must make a clear distinction between mobilization and organization, which we do not make. We organize, we mobilize in the masses now, we're good at that. Some years ago, at the Dr. King's March in 1963, we had 300,000, the most they ever seen. They went and brought out some more, 700,000. Our sisters just brought out 1.5 million. They got a long way to go to catch up. We are massive, but we mobilize. When you mobilize, you come together for a specific issue over a temporary period of time. After that, everything disappears. Organization is permanent. Organization is permanent. You must come to make the difference between mobilization and organization. Dr. King was one of the greatest mobilizers that this country has seen in this century, but he was not an organizer. This is not in any way to discredit Dr. King. He did a great job. We admire him and love him. But to advance the struggle, we must go beyond Dr. King's mobilization to organization. This is a crucial task. We are thinking about revolution, and we need to mention some things about it, so some people get confused about it. Revolution means nothing other than the constant qualification of life. That's all. It means making life better. But now let me tell you something about revolution. Some people think that revolution can be made by a few people. No. Revolution can only be made by all the people. Therefore, if you're serious about a revolution, you have to talk about organizing the masses. If you want reform, you talk about mobilizing the masses. Mobilization seeks influence. Organization seeks power. There's a big difference. We are revolutionaries here, and we're grateful for the education we received when we were young. Never have we been stupid enough to fight for something where there was no power involved in it. Anytime we got involved, there had to be power. If there was no power, I ain't fighting. You run away, I'm running away. Yes, I'll give you an example. One night, coming home as a young man in New York City there, you know, as backward as this country is, one of the playmates there saw me. I was coming and was under a bridge. He was drunk, a little bit drunk. I played soccer. I was captain of my soccer team. I'm an athlete. I'm in high school. So here comes, he wants to fight me. Nobody's there. I look around. I just run. I wasted it. Run slow, then people will catch me and speed up. So I just fell out. I kept on running. My practice for the evening. What am I going to fight him for? He ain't got nothing. He had drunk. If I hit me, might hit me in my eye. My bad luck is figuring me. What do I get? Nothing. I ran away from fight. Well, he misunderstood it. 3 days later, we're in the schoolyard. Everybody's there. So, you know, now he wants to, you know. So now I have to fight him because, you know, if I don't whoop him. But if there's nothing to gain, I don't fight. You ain't got no power, I ain't got no fight with you. I don't fight for nothing. A lot of stupid people fight for nothing. A whole lot of them fight for nothing. He just pushed me, boy. I whooped him. Yeah, what'd you get out of it? I whooped him. He just bloody my eye a little bit. I whooped him. What'd you get? Nothing. Nothing. They fight for nothing all the time. And he said so-and-so to this woman, and I didn't like that. I'm going to go over there. What you going to get? We're revolutionaries. We fight for power. We do not fight for influence. We're not seeking to influence anything. We are to destroy the capitalist system that can never produce anyone like you. You must make clear distinctions between reform and revolution. The majority of those who were on the front lines for your people, who were petty bourgeois intellectuals, opted for reform, not for revolution. revolutions to the intelligentsia. We know them. And revolutions are made by three sectors of the society: the workers, the peasants, and the revolutionary intelligentsia, which comes from the intelligentsia, the intellectuals that we have. But we tell you, just as Africa has the most rotten, corrupted, and disgusted bourgeoisie, so too she has the most rotten and disgusted and corrupted intelligentsia. Our intellectual students are looking for nothing other than to make money and forget about their responsibility to serve the people. Task then you have a formidable task. Even up to now, we cannot produce the talented tenth that Du Bois has been begging for, crying for, and praying for decades, almost a century now. We come from the most corrupt in our society. We come from those who owe everything to the people and want to give nothing back to the people. In fact, they want to continue to exploit their people, working in partnership with other exploiters of their people. The task we have then as students, the serious task. The task we have then of intelligence is the serious task. To take your intelligence and give it to the people. When I graduated from Harvard University, the reactionary professor said to me, "So what are you going to do now?" I said, "I'm going to Mississippi." "Where are you going with them stick people?" "I'm going with them stick people." "Full time?" "All the time." "Well, what you going to do with our family?" I said, "Well, the family I get will either sacrifice with me or keep getting on." "Well, what you going to do for eating?" "People in Mississippi eating. They ain't going to let me starve on some fight for them." No, we started off by telling you, we're talking about experiences. When I was a young man working for Snake in Mississippi, they would put me in a house I wouldn't even know. 2 o'clock in the morning, people I wouldn't even know would come knock on the door. "Now they found the house, now they come and fight. Let's go." They put me in a truck, take me to some other house. I go to a house, the people there are peasants, they are poor sharecroppers. They ain't got nothing except one bed that's been passed on from generations to generations with their handy quilt. And they go 3 o'clock in the morning, bring me, I got my sleeping bag, and they're going to insist that I sleep in the bed. I tell them, "No, I got a sleeping bag, I'm better on the floor." No. One man said one night, "These young boys, what they think it is in these young girls coming down here, they think that they're ready to get their lives for us, and we ain't ready to get their lives for them. Who they think it is?" Yeah. I didn't know where I was. There's people who protect me, give their lives for me. Once you fight for the people will always fight to protect you. But your fight for the people must be honest. It must be dignified. It must be integrity. It must be without no compromise at all. You must come to present to your college and your colleagues an example of what a conscious human being is. The atmosphere of Howard still has to change. There is still too much frivolous activities on the board. It's only the conscious students who can come to change the campus at Howard University and its atmosphere. Change what is known as its milieu. In order to attract students to serious aspects of learning. You must not think this is haphazard. The United States government has filled onto Howard University campus all sorts of agents, especially since the 60s, to ensure that the university remains frivolous. But all this is in vain. We shall win. As a matter of fact, we are winning. But the only way you can properly see that you're winning is when you take a revolutionary perspective, and a revolutionary perspective look at the masses of the people, not the corrupt leaders that you find everywhere, especially overwhelmingly in Africa. Look at the people. Look at this issue with the Gulf here that this stupid man is talking about. I mean, nothing but community punishment for one man. Listen to the filth of their press. Do you know what the press said when interviewing an ex-president? When you had a chance to kill Saddam Hussein, why did you kill him? Could you imagine that? You say you want to kill Saddam Hussein, and you kill babies to get Saddam Hussein. Who are you playing with? Not one Arab country supporting them, not one. It's not because those Arab puppets don't want to, they want to. But the pressure of the masses of the people is such that they cannot. You must look to the masses. All of those reactionary regimes want to support America, but they cannot. Because the consciousness of the people continues to grow and nothing can stop the rising consciousness of the masses. Absolutely nothing. As a matter of fact, his action is going to speed it up. When he attacks there, hatred for American imperialism will rise even more throughout the world. While nobody pays attention outside this world, hatred for American imperialism is growing everywhere. And our bombing of Iraq is only going to push it further, bringing revolution clear to the front of that area of the world. We are winning. We must never be dismayed. We are living in Guinea. Here in Sierra Leone, a coup d'etat took place last year. On the very same day, we sent from the All-African People's Revolutionary Party a delegation all the way from Nebraska, one from New Jersey, the Democratic Party of Guinea, of the African Democratic Revolution, sent one of its youth wings of the Democratic African Revolution to African Liberation Day. It was being sponsored by Conakry in Freetown. On that very day, the military pulled through. Quite havoc. After that, many brothers and sisters in Sierra Leone started to find themselves in Guinea. Many. There are two categories here: refugees and fighters. We, of course, occupy ourselves with the fighters, not the refugees. You go to the UN.